The Premier League is back and it is time for us to do our predictions. This won't be a Manchester City orientated video. We're just going to tell you where we think each club is going to finish the season. Now, if you just want our top 4 predictions or who we think will be champions, there is a timestamp on screen for you to see right now. I know not everybody really cares about our thoughts on the bottom half of the table, and most of our viewers are Manchester City fans, so you only want to know where we think City are going to place. So skip to that timestamp and you'll get all the European and top 4 and champions and all that kind of thing. So we're going to start on the relegation zone, Luke. We have gone with rock bottom Bournemouth. Unfortunately for me, not good enough, not enough signings, too many outgoings, not a Premier League standard club. Likewise with Fulham, who we put in 19th place. I don't think they're good enough, both of which are just yo-yo clubs. I don't really like having them in the league. They bore me, if I'm being totally honest. No offense to Fulham fans and Bournemouth fans, you're just going to have to accept that. The first controversial one of the video, in 17th place, we have gone with Everton. We think Frank Lampard's Blues are going to go down. Tough season last season. I don't think they've done enough in the transfer market, and for me, they are going down. Luke, they're the 3 relegated clubs. Any ideas?
Yeah, I think obviously Everton is the one that's going to be the big standout here, but I just feel like McNeil, Tarkowski, getting Idris Gana Gay back is just not enough. And I know obviously there's like another month to go with the window, but it feels very much like the club is just not really sort of improving themselves after that disastrous season when they almost got relegated for the first time, or whatever many times they've been relegated. But it's a real it shocks me really that they're doing that, and also losing McCarthy as well. So it would be surprising if they get relegated, but obviously, as you know, with this league, it's so random that anything can happen. And the other 2 teams, yeah, it's not really worth talking about, really. Both teams don't really improve very much, apart from like the odd player here and there. It's going to be just sort of a simple one for that one, really.
Yeah, so Everton, Fulham and Bournemouth, unfortunately, you are gone for us. In 17th place, we have gone with the new boys, Nottingham Forest. I'm very excited to see them back in the Premier League. Big club, big fans. It's always nice to see a traditional Premier League club back where they belong, and I'd like to do in a way their ground looks very cool. Leeds in 16th place. We think Jesse Marsh's Leeds will just survive relegation. A tough season again for them last season, but I think they'll do enough. But it will be tough, and it'll be interesting to see how they get on without Calvin Phillips. Rafinha and Patrick Bamford's always injured, so how can he make it work? I think he will find a way. Brentford, a club I like a lot. They did very well last season, probably overachieved, pull some big results out of the bag. We have put them in 15th place. I think they will survive again this season, and I hope they do. And then Southampton in 14th, a club that I think could possibly do even better than 14th. This whole middle of the table is really hard to predict. It's always the same kind of clubs every year, but as to which exact position each one will finish, you never really know. So we've gone with Southampton 14th, Palace 13th, Wolves 12th, and Villa 11th. I think that's a fair mid-table. Maybe one of them will be a surprise package. I don't know which one. It could be Villa, it could be Southampton for me, maybe. They might push in for that top 10 sort of, 9th, 10th sort of place, but it's hard. This is where we've put them. Luke, that is the middle of the table. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's probably spot on. Obviously, I guess we've said before, it could change around. This league's obviously crazy, but I think Forest and me have actually had a pretty good window actually out of the 3 clubs that have been promoted. Like you see, obviously got Lingard in. They've got obviously 2 players from Huddersfield in who actually did really well in terms of them getting playoffs last year. And obviously got Awoniyi from. They've signed relatively well so far, obviously, and it's trying to for some more players as well. So they are doing the right thing. I think they will have enough to stay up this season. Obviously, next season will depend. Obviously, we'll talk about that another time. But I think Forest and me will have enough to stay up. I think Southampton definitely could finish 10th. Their team's good enough to at least. I'm not saying get Europe anyway. I don't know anyone in Europe, but definitely good enough to at least finish within the top half, all around the middle of the table. They've got obviously Mara, Bazunu, Lavia, Bella Kotchap from Bochum. They've obviously signed really well this summer. And Villa as well. Villa are definitely a club that really should be improving after the disaster end of the season, obviously finishing 14th. They should have been finishing at least 10th all the times they made. So it's a big season for Gerrard, and I'm interested to see how it plays out.
It is a big season for Gerrard, and I think Villa fans just need to be patient. They're obviously a club with a lot of money, and they can spend, and they're not afraid to buy in big players. I think they will come good at some point, Villa, but for us, we've had to place them in 11th. Moving into the top 10 spaces in the table, this is where it gets a bit juicy. Now, I know we flew through the bottom half there pretty quickly, not a huge amount of analysis, because I'm being totally honest with you, I don't know a huge amount about a lot of the clubs and what they've done in the transfer window in the bottom half of the table, so we kept it short and concise. But this is where it gets interesting. Who's going to finish in Europe? Who's going to place outside of Europe? There might be some surprise answers here. We've gone for 10th place, Graham Potter's Brighton, a club that are doing a very good job in recent years. Graham Potter is doing a fantastic job with Brighton. It looks like they're on the verge of losing Cucurella. Chelsea have hijacked that deal from under our feet, unfortunately, but he's going to be a massive loss for them. How can they replace him? How can they work without him? It'll be interesting to see. I think Potter will find a way. He's a very good manager. Then in ninth place, we have gone for Leicester City. This was not my decision, people. I did not decide Leicester at ninth. We had a vote within the 1894, and the lad said Leicester. I don't think they'll come ninth. I think they'll be a lot lower. I think Rodgers could be one of the first managers to be sacked of the season. They've lost a huge amount of quality players, and you know, Tielemans is tipped to leave. Madison's tipped to leave. Schmeichel's tipped to leave. If all those players go, it's dark times for Leicester, unfortunately. Now, here is where it gets a little bit juicy as well, Luke. Just missing out on Europe in 8th place. The new rich boys in town, Newcastle United. We think they will massively improve on last season. They had a great turnaround after January, didn't they, last season, when they looked like they were just destined for relegation, and they pulled it out of the bag. But listen, with Newcastle, it's going to be a patience thing, very similar to what it was for us after our takeover. I think next season they will get European football. I think they'll just miss out this season. 8th, 9th, 10th, Newcastle, Leicester, Brighton, Luke.
Yeah, so I think Brighton will start with first. I mean, obviously losing your best player, Cucurella, is obviously not a good thing, but I think considering like the amount of money that Chelsea, obviously we would have paid a little bit, obviously not as much Chelsea have, but Chelsea wouldn't pay what, £50 million for him. I'd take it as well if I was that kind of club to get that money for him to get someone else to replace him afterwards. So I think Brighton, will do all right. I think I don't want to try and get better and better than we were last year, but I just feel like, unless Undav, I've heard had on loan last year, sort of hits the ground running from the striker, I can't see them really smashing it this year. I think they're probably another sort of mid-table finish, which is good for them. But obviously, considering they want to compete with like the likes of Newcastle, West Ham, for Europe, I think it's a bit of a stray too far this time. Leicester, do you know what? I agree with you. I think also I don't think I voted for ninth, but I remember now. But I think Leicester for me, Madison potentially go to Newcastle, which is a massive blow if that happens. Tielemans obviously wants to go to Arsenal. I'm not sure whether that's going to happen or not. We'll see. Schmeichel's going to Nice. It's a real big blow. Obviously, not having a keeper like Schmeichel anymore, who has been a real saviour for them the last few years, especially even when they won the league and that. It's a real loss for them if that happens. I think Rodgers should be very careful because not bringing anyone in so far, anyone in at all, is a real disaster for them. I think that it could finish like even 12th or 13th this season, depending on how bad things go. And Newcastle, I think it's been impressive. Considering what Howe had to do, considering obviously see Bruce being sacked, the club been near the bottom of the table, just struggling completely. Brought in a player like Bruno Guimaraes, who's been unbelievable for them. Trippier, brilliant. If they get Madison in, I think they could push them towards Europe. But I think just like we put them in 8th, I think it would just be a stray too far. But I won't be surprised if it was like a 3-point difference between 7th and 8th.
It's an interesting one. I think if Newcastle do manage to get their hands on James Maddison, that could be the tipping point that gets them into those European places. But as it stands right now, for me, 8th place with Newcastle. Now, we are moving into the European places. These are the ones everybody wants to know about. Some of you have probably skipped to this point in the video because you don't care about what we said previously. West Ham in 7th place. And I personally think they actually could finish a little bit higher. They've signed quite well. They had a very good season last season. They obviously didn't prioritise the end of their Premier League campaign because they were pushing really hard for that Europa League. Maybe they could have finished higher in the Premier League if the Europa League wasn't a thing for them, but it was a great run. I think West Ham in 7th, getting a Conference League spot, isn't it? 7th place. And then in 6th, it is our noisy neighbours, Manchester United. We think they will not make top 4. I will say, I'll speak objectively and I'll take my City hat off for a sec. I think Ten Hag is the closest thing to the right man Man United have had since Alex Ferguson. But I think this season is just a bit too soon for them to really get their shit together and get back into the Champions League places. So 6th place for United. You guys are just going to have to hold that if you don't agree. In 5th place, just missing out on top 4, and we will explain why, is Chelsea. I think they have also signed quite well, but I just think the teams that we have above them are on a better trajectory. They're further along in their progress as actual teams. 5th, 6th, 7th, Chelsea, United, West Ham. These were really tough calls. Once we kind of got into 7th place after the bottom half of the table, we were really, it was hard to make these decisions, Luke.
It was, yeah. It's always difficult predicting the top 6. Well, before obviously top 7 now, obviously with the Europe Conference League coming in. So I think West Ham did really well last year. Obviously, it could have actually got towards, I think, obviously top four, top six last year, but it just missed out on it, unfortunately. I think they brought in Nea Figueroa, they brought in like is it Scamacca from Sassuolo, so they brought decently well so far. So obviously, I think they've lost Mark Noble, but I mean, Noble's obviously a legend for them, but he's not really someone that always start for them, so it doesn't really matter very much. So they've still got a very good squad. They've kept Bowen, they've kept Rice. The squad's still there. I think they'll definitely have the experience behind them to sort of get towards that seventh place, maybe even top six if United have a bad season, Chelsea have a bad season. It all depends, obviously, on how obviously their injuries sort of go out as well. It all depends on a lot of factors, obviously, that come into play. United, same here. I think Ten Hag's the right manager for them. I think he's the right manager to sort of get them in the right direction. But United fans, for once, need to stop thinking that this team that can get 21 and that. They're nowhere near that right now. They are miles away from that. They are literally Liverpool, United City, far clear, even Tottenham are far clear than them right now. United need to realise that at the moment, where they are right now, top six, luckily, is enough for them right now. I think if they can get through Europa League and win the final, probably their best bet of getting Champions League this season. But I think bringing in like Malacia, he's not a bad player, but everyone's got Tellez and Shaw. It's like, what's that going to do really overall? And just not getting De Jong in so far. They obviously got Martinez in from. It's just it's not enough. Nowhere near enough to get him in their top four right now. And Chelsea, Koulibaly, Sterling, potentially Cucurella. It's a good window. It's a good window so far, but they need a lot more than that. They need to get rid of Werner. They need to get rid of a lot of players who aren't good enough. It's just Chelsea and United for me are in a period of transition right now. They're both obviously trying to change the teams around, trying to move on from where they were beforehand. It's a lot going on there. I think the other four teams above them that we put are just in a better place right now than MCR right now.
Yeah, I think Chelsea, what they badly need is a striker, man. I think I spoke about this before in videos. I don't think Chelsea are going to get the best out of Raheem Sterling without a proper striker. I think they just need one overall as well, because I wouldn't be relying on Kai Havertz to bag the goals. Anyways, that is the Europa League and Conference League places. We now get into the thick stuff. What matters the most? Who is going to qualify for the Champions League? Well, you know now which four clubs are in this area of the table, but who is going to place where? In fourth place, we have gone with Mikel Arteta's Arsenal. Arsenal fans, you'll be delighted to hear that we have a lot of hope for you, a lot of optimism. You've signed two of our most loved members of our squad last season in Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko. Both of them seem to have hit the ground running. Jesus with 7 goals in 6 games in pre-season. He looks like he's found a home. He looks like he's refreshed, he's rejuvenated, and he's ready to provide for you guys and get you guys back into the Champions League. I really believe this is the year Arsenal kick on and get themselves into the Champions League, and I hope so. I like Arteta, I like Zinchenko, I like Jesus. I want them to all succeed, not to the point where it's affecting us negatively, but do your thing, go for it. Get that Champions League place, get that bread, do your thing. I hope it goes well for them. In third place, their North London rivals, Tottenham. I think Conte, it's an interesting one. He is a successful manager, and he will continue to be a successful manager, but it's always in very short stints with Conte. He never really stays more than 2 or 3 seasons at a club, but those 2 or 3 seasons are always very good, and I think this is the year you really see Conte's Spurs. They've signed very well, they have a lot more depth now. There seems to be a very big feel-good factor around Tottenham Hotspur Football Club right now. Their fans are excited, and I've tipped them to cause a huge amount of problems for both us and Liverpool, the top 2 teams we have. I think Tottenham will be a massive problem for everyone in the Premier League, and if it was up to me, I'd probably have Tottenham in second. And you can shoot me down in the comments if you like, and you can say that's absurd, it's going to be City or Liverpool. That's fair enough. I just think there's something about Conte where he just pulls madnesses out of the bag, and that's just my opinion. And then in second place, it is, drumroll please, Liverpool. You're going to have to accept that. Liverpool, I get they looked a lot better than us in the Charity Shield the other day, and people are saying, oh, Liverpool proving they're not going to go anywhere. They're going to keep posing challenges for City. They're going to stay up and around there. They're hungrier than ever. They've brought Nunez in, and that's all great. Fantastic. But the thing with us is we will peak at the right time. The difference between us and Liverpool in those seasons where we beat them by 1 point is we peaked at the right time when they looked tired. Liverpool start off every season in electric fashion, and they look great, and they do maintain that. But we peak time, and I believe Liverpool are going to come second. And then finally, Luke, moving into the Champions, Joe, put an edit of Jack Grealish holding the Premier League trophy on screen right now, because we are going to see that again in 9 months' time. Jack Grealish and Manchester City are going to be the champions of England 5 in 6 years. I really believe this. I'm very excited. I got a lot of stick for one of the videos we made the other day about that Charity Shield game and starting slow to the season, but I wanted to make it clear that I still believe we'll win the league. I think it'll all come together. The lads will get fit, the lads will get sharp, they'll get used to working with the new players, and we will win this. I firmly believe Manchester City will win the Premier League again, and it's hopeless optimism for me. And why wouldn't you be excited as a Manchester City fan right now? There's a lot to look forward to. I'm very excited for the season to start. Luke, it's an interesting top four we went with, and of course we had to pick Manchester City as the champions. That's our club right there. We back our boys. What are you saying?
Yeah, so we'll start with Tottenham. Sorry. Arsenal were obviously getting Jesus and Shanko, Vieira from Porto. They've done really well this window. They've bought well. Instead of buying like one big name player for a position, they've actually started to sort of build their team around the player they need. I think Jesus for me is a way better player than Lacazette right now anyway. So he's a massive upgrade on him. 7 goals in 6 games is unbelievable. I know it's pre-season, but it's still brilliant. So I'm interested to see how he plays obviously this season. I hope he does well. Obviously not against us, hopefully. But I think he's a player that will guide them. I think for Europa League particularly as well, and also getting towards top 4 as well. As also signing Zinchenko at left back or midfield, depending on what they play him. I think it's been very smart this window. I think especially as well if they get the elements as well somehow. That'd be a real big upgrade. I think he can even get third, obviously, if that's the case. But we'll have to see how that plays out. Tottenham, Richarlison, Longley on loan. We'll see about that one. Who else they bought? But yeah, it bought relatively well. Tottenham have bought some really good players. They've really improved their team from last season. Conte's a great manager. He can build a real engine, a real cohesive unit in that team. Harry Kane will thrive. So will Son. So will Richarlison, Basuma, Højbjerg. It will just work. I think it will just work as a real unit this season. I think top 2 potentially, but it depends on how Liverpool are this season. I think Tottenham and Arsenal. I think it depends obviously how both teams go on. Obviously throughout the winter as well. But I think both teams are good enough to get top 4. Both of them have really improved this summer. I have to see who sort of gets the better out of the two. Obviously towards the end of the season. Liverpool, yeah. I think Liverpool have done. I think losing Mane is a real blow. Let's be honest here. I know obviously Community Shield they beat us 3-1. That was a City team that was still lacking sharpness, lacking obviously the team hasn't gelled yet. You can see obviously Haaland's getting in those positions for a City player, a City striker. But again, you need time. You need to get De Bruyne obviously realising that he's now as a striker the past 2. It obviously goes to them in a bit. But Liverpool have obviously a player in Núñez who can score goals. I can do that kind of ability that Mane can, but it's a lot of pressure to do that considering what Mane has done the last 4 or 5 years for them. So it's a real like big challenge for him. I think Klopp's obviously got a team now that he has to sort of try and change again, like Pep has to do now. Obviously with obviously got Núñez now instead of Mane. You got like Calvin Ramsey and that brought in to sort of be the future. But I think Liverpool just need to sort of we have to see how they cope obviously with the fixtures obviously piling up now, obviously because now we've got fixtures every week now rather than like every week and then obviously 2 weeks off. It's not going to be constant fixtures now, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And on to the champions. Well, champions elect again, hopefully. City, Haaland, Alvarez, Phillips. No left backs as of yet. Hopefully that'll change at some point, hopefully, this window. But three great signings so far. I'm really excited to see how we play this season. Obviously, it's going to be interesting to see a striker now instead of a false 9. Obviously, we might play a false 9 now and again. But I feel like on Sunday, obviously, we lost. But I was really impressed with what the runs Haaland was making. Alvarez came on and really impressed. I'm really excited to watch this team. I didn't really care about the result. I was looking forward to watching the team play. And as a City fan, obviously, as we are, to see obviously a player like Erling Haaland play for us, it just excites me. I'm so excited to see every game now. See him score a goal for us. I mean, his first goal at Etihad's going to be incredible. It's going to be an insane atmosphere. So I'm really excited to see City this season. I think this will be the year we get 3 in a row for the first time. I'm really excited.
Lot to look forward to. Listen, I know it's a slightly longer video than usual, and most of you probably only wanted to see our top 4 predictions or even just who's going to be the champions prediction. Get down below in the comments, get involved, let us know your thoughts on all of our selections. Would you do it any different? I'm sure everybody has different opinions. It's a really hard one to predict, and we're probably going to be proven awfully wrong this time in 9 months. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow with a new vid. Good night and God bless.